Hey guys, so I'm going to do a video on some lighting that I'm wanting to rebuild. In this picture, you can see there's a cross on the left and there's a wreath on the right, and those are done with regular incandescent, little Christmas light bulbs. And I want to rebuild these and redo everything in the front of my house with uh, the the addressable LEDs like I did on the house. And I'll just show you how I'm going to do that. So this is a Christmas tree that I put in the front yard, and it has 20 strings of 50 bulbs, so it's um, 1,000 lights. And I went ahead and created a box for it with a 12-volt power supply, and I used a dig quad controller, and I used two channels for this. And my idea is to use the third channel for the cross and the fourth channel for the wreath. So this is the wreath I built. I went ahead, it's the same as the other one. I used the old wreath as a template, and I got it lights hooked up in here. I think there's 100 lights on the bow, and then the green is 200 lights, so total 300. And I hooked it up to get it tested, and that's what it looks like, just like the original wreath that's on the house. But I wanted to put some creativity into it. I could do some different kind of lighting effects on it if I wanted now, because this shows up as the third channel in a WLED, just like I have for the house. So let's go ahead and move on to building the cross, similar to what I did to this. I kind of had this built, and then I said, oh man, I forgot to do any video. So now I did a full video on building the cross. So this is the controller. You can see I got a 4-channel dig quad controller and a 5-volt relay for the 12-volt power supply, and then a 12-volt power supply. And I'm also using, these are called F amps. If you look kind of like right up at the top of the power supply, there's a little clear square thing. That's called an F amp data booster. You can buy them on Pixel Now is the website. They sell them in 5 packs. Normally, right from the dig quad, you only get about 33 feet of data strength for the data signal. I've seen tests where this boosted it up to 200 feet. So I use them right from the dig quad. Sometimes you can use them after the first pixel. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm making a new template. What I did is I drilled with 1/8" drill bits, and then I followed it up with 15/32 or 12 millimeter. And what I got is this collar, which lets me drill in about, this is 1/2 inch, a little more than 1/4 inch. This way you don't tear, you get a little bit clean, because I'm gonna come back and clean up these holes. But this, if you don't use this and you drill all the way through, it will split out. See, I tried this on regular plywood. See what happened? It just ripped it all to pieces. So what this does is you drill one side, and then you come back in on the other side. If I can line this up, kind of let it clean up and then push down. And that way, you get a nice clean hole. You can see it's all the way through, because I already did the other side. So let me finish up all these holes, because then I have to cut the cross out. I already have lines on the other side. All right, next we're going to take this countersinking bit and we're going to round off all the holes. You can see the difference. Just cleans them up, but it makes it so that the light, the bulb that sticks out, will just sit nice and pretty. All right, so there we have the new cross, replacing that cross. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it. I got some oil-based white, gloss white. Put 2 or 3 coats all the way around it. This should keep it waterproof. It's going to be out in the weather. You can see how that one's, it's not bent like that because it's sitting crossed over that bucket thing right there, but it's actually warped. And that's because the sides weren't painted, and it's actually like a compressed sawdust or like a compressed paper. You can see the side of it. So that's what we're going to do next. This is going to be the top because it's the cleanest, and this will be the back that we run all the lights. And what we're going to do is on the outside is going to be all one string, because I want to make sure that I keep the segments separated. So I need to make sure I measure this outside line is going to be all white, and then the inside is going to be gold, or what, you know, it could be whatever color you want it to be. But I want to make sure that there's a noticeable line on the outside, so I'll separate the segments to do that. So the next thing is drop some paint on this. All right, so here's the cross now. It's all painted, looks all good. I got it in my office now, and now I'm starting to run the lights. I'm going to string lights all the way around the edge first, and then once I come back up this edge into this bulb, then you have to count how many bulbs I totally use. That will be one segment. Then I'll go inside and start stringing all the way through the center. And you can see I got probably about 10 or 15 strings of bulbs. But let me get these all strung, and then I'll show you what's next. Just to show you quick, this is what it looks like on the other side. So you want to push the bulb using that 15, 30 second, or 15, 30, I think it's 15, 30 seconds, or 12 millimeter drill bit. Gives the hole just enough so that it's, when you push it in, you have to kind of wiggle it a little bit, and it will push through, but it's tight. After we're done, we're going to come through and put a dab of hot glue on every bulb. It takes a while, but what that'll do is that'll lock it in so it won't pop out. And then on these connections between strings, we're going to stash those off to the side and put hot glue on it and literally seal it with hot glue so that it doesn't get penetrated by any moisture. All right, so let me get on to finishing these lights. All right, so I have one, see if I could turn this. One, this is 2 strings of lights, a total of 100. And that is the total outside. So now that's going to be one segment of this run. Now I got to start doing all of those inside lights. All right, so now I've got another 50 in the middle. You can see on the back what it looks like. And you can see, you know, how you attach each one. Once I get all these lights, I'll hot glue this connection down. And I'll also cover it up with hot glue so that it stays watertight. That's going to be, down there is going to be where it's actually going to connect to the controller. So I got a little bit more to go, maybe another 100 bulbs, we'll see. All right, here we go, all done, all the lights are in there. I had to add on, where is it, this section here, I was 3 lights short, so I have some extra lights, and you can just go ahead and put it in there. So I have 100 lights around the edge, and it looks like 153 in the middle. So now what I've got to do is do some testing, make sure everything's working before I hot glue them in. So I'm going to set up a temporary Dig-Uno controller and run it through its paces. Let's take a look. All right, when you first turn on WLED, you're only going to get like 30 bulbs coming on because it's default. It's at a default setting. So when you first go into your Wi-Fi settings, you'll see WLED. Go ahead and click on it. It'll log you in and go straight to WLED. Then you want to go ahead and set up your Wi-Fi. Log it into or set up, whatever your network is with your IP address. Assign it an IP. Put in the subnet mask and gateway address. I use a 10.0.2 for any of the IoT stuff. And once it's done and you save it, it should take a second and then chop out and come back in. I'm actually going to set the host name to test, WLED-test. That's just for so you can log into a web page. I'm going to go ahead and set this up with 2 segments for the outside and the inside of the cross. Now that we're in, signed in an IP, now we can get in and look at our LED configuration. Turn off brightness limiter. I always have it at 50% brightness anyhow. Get rid of these extra channels. We're going to only do 1 channel. So you can see we now have 30 LEDs. And we're going to change this to, we know we have 100 and 153. So it's 253 LEDs. 253. Hit save and they should all come on. 253, back. Segment. Oh, it didn't save it. 100. Start LED 0 to 99. There we go. Okay. Okay, so segment 1, I want gold. Segment 2, it's going to be white. There you go. That's what I got it set up to do right now. So now that's done. And I've confirmed, I replaced those 3, because I had to do 253 bulbs. I was 3 short. So I added 3 bulbs here on the end. You can see my little wiring right there. And I think, because I pulled them from a different company. This string uses, let's see, these lights that are, what, red, green, and white are the wires. I pulled the lights from this string, which is red, white, and blue. And if you notice here on the end where those three lights are, they're a different color. Instead of being white, they show up kind of like green. And then the colors here kind of have like a purple tint to it. And that's because these three are on this same string that goes up here. And I think that they're pulling a different power and affecting the data for the whole string. So I'm going to replace these three bulbs. Now I had one bulb go bad down here. And there's a change in color right where that bulb is. Kind of goes from that white to like a purple. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to have to use a light from the same string, the same company. And I think that will fix the problem. I did have a bad Pixel, but I replaced it with a string from a different company. So let me fix those. And then we have to use some hot glue to glue everything in. All right, so here you go. We are done. Got it all done. Kind of doing a little glitter thing. Now I had to replace 2 sets of lights. It still, for some reason, has that color difference. You can see at the bottom, they're bright gold. And up here, they're kind of a darker gold. I don't know if that's a kind of something wrong with one of the sides. I replaced almost every set on here. So I'm not really sure. But now we have to hot glue every bulb and the connectors. All right, so I have a hot glue gun. This is actually my wife's. It's the coolest hot glue gun. I don't know who makes it. It looks like Meltif or Melif, something. But it uses a DeWalt 20-volt battery, which is really cool. You let it sit and warm up. Once it gets heated up, then you just put a dab right next to each bulb. I know I have a bulb in here that's loose, so I have to make sure I get that one really good. And then make sure you put a dab and put the connector down against the board and then glue it down, and you have to hold it until the glue sets. And we'll have to do this whole thing, all these bulbs. Let me get that taken care of. Also, here's an end of a string. This is the very end. I cut it short. I'm gonna put a blob of hot glue over that wire so it's not exposed, along with the, these are the wires that come off the string so you can do a power injection. We're gonna glue that down too to keep that covered, because this is gonna be out in the weather. All right, so you can see, you just need to put a blob next to each one. That just holds it in. The holes are still tight. And then here's the connector. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cover this on up. I don't want it to be exposed to the weather. And if I need to get into it, it will, get the connector at the end over here. You can still peel it off. It might be a little tough to get off, but I'd rather keep it safe from the weather, the climate. But now I've got to go do the rest. Alrighty. So that's how I cover up the connector and the little, well, the little power injection cable. It's still hot glue, so, you know, it can come off. I'll get that pushed down a little. But as you can see, every bulb has a little hot glue on it. There's another connector. Everything's sealed up. Let it sit and get nice and hard. And then you can go through, and if you find any strings, you know, pull your little hot glue strings off if you want, or you can just leave them there. That's it. This is ready for next Christmas. If you have any questions, hit me up. Ask whatever you need, and talk to you later.